This is what we need to do. This is going to bring that school to the next level.
That's Thinkering. This Thinkering process is going to be really transformational to all subjects that we're talking about.
The value of the Alliance is it's a thinking collective. Now we have a greater understanding amongst everyone. And that's not what's common in schools.
I always tell our students this can set you apart, make you stand out, something to remember you by. It's an opportunity to share. It's win-win all around.
I think the biggest part of what we do are the humans that we work with on the other side of that, right? Really see the human impact, the way that they're interacting and working with their community.
It really does have to flip. You should be able to think about that as your hero's journey, to be able to know this is how I was able to overcome.
And they really have this drive to want change. And I feel like continuing that mission is really important.
All right, we're live. Welcome everybody to Thinkering Minds, where we explore what's possible when education becomes more human, more curious, and more connected. Today's guest is on because you deserve it. Teachers deserve it. We have Rae Hughart on, educator, author of Teachers Deserve It, advocate for empowering educators and building school systems where both students and teachers thrive. Rae, we've been inspired by the way you bring energy and creativity and humanity to everything you do. We love your social media presence. It feels really awesome and organic and genuine. Welcome to the show. Introduce yourself to the audience with anything that I left out and forgot.
Yeah, no, I'm thrilled to be here. Hi, friends. Yeah, my name is Rae Hughart. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Teachers Deserve It, and I love talking shop with educators. So if you're listening, if you're connected to an educator, maybe you're an educator yourself, or you have kids that go to school and have any sort of teacher, even your Sunday school teacher, if you're religious, every educator needs support, and we're on a mission to impact 1 million teachers by the end of this year. So let's get them in the club.
We'll get to the 1 million teachers, but we'll start at the beginning. I feel like everyone has a 2 a.m. moment where they decide, okay, I have to be the one to build something and make change. What was your 2 a.m. moment that started everything off?
Oh gosh, I think I'm going to have the wrong answer to this question right off the bat. I'm so sorry.
Poor setup on my part.
No, it's not at all. Honestly, I'm an educator at heart. I was a middle school mean old math teacher, for over a decade, and I loved my job. And I accidentally stumbled in to moving from the middle school to academia at a university, then to educator support. And it came from, honestly, a Twitter chat back in 2015. So I accidentally became the face of this mastery learning educational consulting team, which was I don't know how that happened, but I learned a boatload just seeing education from so many different vantage points and having the opportunity to go into so many classrooms. I mean, there was so much happening that was so fun and good. And then I started to really recognize that there was even more we could do, an even better approach that didn't require educators to overhaul their lives, right? Educators are already doing really, really good things. And so there isn't one educator out there that doesn't have a lot of positives happening. There just are educators everywhere who can improve just slightly, a little tweak here and a little piece of feedback here, and boom, you've already been more efficient and effective. And so when I concluded my time with that other organization, I had no idea what I was going to go do. I actually started job hunting. I was like, who's going to hire me? I'll be I don't know, I maybe stay in education, maybe not. It was in this big chapter change. And stupidly, everyone that asked, will you go out on your own? Will you form your own team? I was like, absolutely. That's the only thing I know I do not want to do. I don't know what I'm going to go do, but I'm for sure not going to start my own team. And I was challenged by a really good friend of mine to say, well, why not? And I was like, ugh, starting a business? Ugh, I don't know anything about that. I don't know anything about, how to do the finances and what's the legal team do and everything in between. And they essentially left me with a thought of, it's okay not to start your own team, but make sure it's for the right reasons, right? So essentially I was having a bad day. And they're like, take the rest of the day off and just dream. See what problems, see what hurdles come about. And if you can't fix them, then you're right. You shouldn't go and start your own team. But if you can fix them, if you can pull in the right people, then just try and get as far as you can to find the reason not to do it. And that was in, 2024. And now we're here, March of 2025. Thank God I have the incredible people I have around me who are so much smarter than me. And, I was just the, puppet master in the background saying, let's get teacher sustainable practices. And I got a lot of people to say, okay, yes. And that was kind of it.
So, you authored Teachers Deserve It. One sentence summary. What is it that teachers deserve?
Yeah, so Teachers Deserve It started with a book. That's really all it was. And I co-authored this book with Adam Welcome, who's an incredible educator out in the world and my vision of an edu celebrity if there ever was one. And he wrote a best-selling book with Todd Nesloney called Kids Deserve It. And he came to me with this idea at a conference one time saying, hey, let's write Teachers Deserve It. And I'm really good at this, apparently, seeing some themes in the stories we've been talking about, but I immediately was like, no, I'm not interested, but thank you. The reason I wasn't interested is because the concept of Teachers Deserve It sounds like a complaining book. It sounds like we're going to tell administrators that they're no good and, complain about parents. And he very simply said, well, if you don't want it to be that, then let's not write that book. Let's make a better vision. And so Teachers Deserve It became an empowerment book about how teachers can make change happen in the areas that they feel like they are lacking in. Like teachers deserve respect. Teachers deserve strong leadership. Teachers deserve a night out with the girls, right? How do we get these pieces? And it really can start with teachers taking the first step. Not all the steps. It doesn't have to be the lift of the teachers, but how can we start to be a part of the solution was really what it turned into. 5 years later, the Teachers Deserve It movement was formed, and that really focused on minor, such small, teeny tiny ideas. How can we help education be more sustainable for educators by helping them be more efficient and effective? And the best part of that is that when our educators are more efficient and effective, when they build sustainability in their craft, we're seeing teacher retention skyrocket. We're seeing student success grow immensely. We're seeing sub shortages reduce because subs are eager to be in a building that has a strong culture and strong routines that make the, transition a little bit easier. And so by focusing on the teachers being a little bit better in one area that saves them 30 seconds or another area that saves them 5 minutes, we're seeing a massive impact on a full ecosystem of education.
Got to unmute there. That's so great. One of the things that struck me is people outside the industry look at teachers as the role of the teacher. And I think they forget that there's a human being in that role. What's something about teachers that the world doesn't see, but they should?
I used to brag about how I was an educator through and through. I bled education, right? I eat, sleep, drank, everything. And I realized that it's actually like a very toxic way to live. Although early on in my career, I really meant it with this love and admiration for the field. The reality is that educators are just like everyone else. They're just like the insurance agent that shows up to work. They're just like the mom who's staying at home with the 3 kids. The difference is that they're in a very servant leadership mindset on a constant basis. And educators, to no fault of anyone else's, it's a collection of people that don't know how to brag on themselves, are really worried about the spotlight that's on them, and they're on 6 to 8 hours a day and shown very little appreciation for that. And so everyone likes to be an expert in education because everyone was somehow been impacted by education, whether it be positive or negative. I think we very quickly discredit the fact that most educators have an undergraduate degree from a university. Most educators have a master's degree from a university. Almost all educators in every state in the U.S. has to complete over 180 professional development hours every 4 years. I mean, we really do not believe that these are well-educated individuals. And we found, even through the studies we've conducted, educators are some of the most educated fields that we have. We need to make sure that we are doing a better job educating our community about how well-educated our educators are.
I like that. What does humanizing education mean to you? Thinkering Collective, we're all about connecting curiosity to community change and action. What does that mean to you?
I think it's really about allowing us to see the field as less chaotic and looking at it in a better lens to approach education a little more of a business lens. Educators don't like to see themselves as business people. That's okay. And business people don't consider themselves educators. And there's so many things in each of these fields that actually cross-pollinate and can serve each other. And I think that's an interesting part of what we're doing as far as talking about sustainability and efficient and effective practices. It's pretty rare in any educator's life, whether they teach for 10 years and leave the field or 30 years and leave the field. It's pretty rare that we talk about an educator being effective and efficient. Effective usually comes up because they want to make sure they're making a big student impact, but efficient in their effectiveness is a pretty strong rarity. And yet, I would argue most businesses are constantly doing an audit of how to make their systems more efficient. How can they get more bang for their buck? And so humanizing, our field, I think really comes down to ensuring that we do see educators as people that are learners, and they deserve just as feedback and opportunity to better their craft as anyone else. But we need to do it with the KPIs. We need to do it by evaluating the ROI of every initiative. And that's a part that I think we miss pretty frequently.
When we talk about teachers getting burnt out and disconnected from their first passion, what's that practice or mindset shift that just helps educators reconnect to the why behind their work? And how do you all help them get there, get them back to it?
Yeah, there's no educator out there that's getting burned out and isn't sad about it. Right? Every educator has this very quixotic mindset. I have a tattoo on my arm that says quixotic, and I got it my first year teaching. And I don't think there's a field out there that doesn't have people more quixotic. For those of you who are not familiar, quixotic is a word that came from Don Quixote. Yeah, it used to be a ballet as well, and it describes someone who's like overly hopeful to a fault. Like there's a negative connotation that I really love about this rich word. And that is every educator at the beginning of August. We walk in after 3 months away, feeling like it was just yesterday that we closed up shop on this school year. And we walk in to maybe working with 180 students, and we believe we are going to be successful without even meeting the kids. And sometimes we're walking into new buildings, new staff, new administration, and still we're like, I'm going to be really good at this year. Educators are amazing in the work that they do. And there's no educator that starts there and ends with burnout. It isn't just totally bummed and disappointed that they're in that space. So a big part of what we do is acknowledging the fact that burnout doesn't happen instantaneously. And it comes from not being fueled by the other elements of your life that you deserve to have in life. You deserve to make it home for bedtimes, and you deserve to be able to, ditch out and go to happy hour with your girlfriends. And we need to be able to allow that. And it's not going to be by overhauling the education system. I hope someone smarter than me is doing that. It really needs to come from us seeing educators as the human beings that they are and giving them sustainable practices that allow them to cut out early once a week and have coffee with the kids before you head out to the workday. And there are ways to do it by saving little ideas here and there. I was just working with a group of educators this week who were telling me that they saved 5 hours last week. Okay. 5 hours. What could you do with 5 hours? That's a whole series on Hulu. That's drinks with the friends. That's 5 hours more sleep. They saved 5 hours last week just by taking our automated email course. Like, that's what I love. That's 5 hours of holding hands with your spouse that you haven't gotten in a while, or puppy cuddles. And we want to make that possible for educators.
Puppy cuddles are the most important thing.
I know I always like to add in making it home for bedtime, and really it's like TV and puppy cuddles. Isn't that all actually what we want?
That's what resonates. That's the universal thing that we all want right there.
That's my world. I got 2 shelter mutts, and the days that I can turn off the technology or just throw a TV show on and have the puppy cuddles, I'm happy.
You developed the Teach Further model, correct?
Yes.
What sets it apart as a model, and how does it tie into curiosity?
Oh my gosh, I have not gotten to talk on this nearly enough in my life. This is like, you just hit something deep in my soul. So I grew up in the Chicagoland area in a very affluent family. My parents are absolute rock stars. Like, they are business owners, drove into the city, got fancy dressed every day. And my sister became a doctor, like, ew. Everyone's like so successful. But the one thing I will tell you about my upbringing is that we were not treated like kids. We were constantly in really strange adult circumstances. Like, I cannot tell you how many cocktail parties I attended as like a 9-year-old, right? Constantly. And you'd be helping, right? You'd be getting the coats from the people walking in, or you'd be collecting glasses and bringing them to the back, or oh my God, the skill of going up to somebody who knows you because you're the kid that, how many 9-year-olds are at this party. And as a child, you needing to know, standing up straight and having a smile on your face and remembering the Mr. and Mrs. of who you're speaking to and how they might be connected to your mom and dad. And that practice was something that I really loved as a kid. It was something that I found myself relatively good at. Like, I love engaging and hearing stories that people have to share. And so when I went into the teaching profession, I felt as though I graduated college with this like gallon-sized bag of puzzle pieces of all the things you're supposed to do in education, but no one like necessarily helped me like snap them together. You were just supposed to do all of them somehow. And I decided to design a proprietary framework that kind of took these two concepts and put them together, where students could be immersed in internships that were all sponsored by local or national organizations, and allowed the students to see the purpose of their learning before ever having to engage with it. This allows not only organic curiosity to form, but also allows organic conversation to happen that aren't necessarily state standards. Could we have conversations with students about having to sign a legal document, and when you're below the age of 18, you have to go get a parent or guardian signature, or a handshake or eye contact? One of my favorite lessons was teaching students how important using your eyebrows are, because when you're speaking, eyebrows show a lot of inflection in what you're discussing. And could these things naturally and organically come up in a math classroom, a science classroom, a third grade classroom? And do we have to wait to be an adult to have these experiences? So I love the Teach Further framework. We've seen internships pop up all over the US and Canada specifically. And I love seeing an educator not only be able to benefit from this organic approach to learning, but also, like, spoiler alert, all these businesses then really like to donate. So it saves educators money. I cannot tell you, I just talked to a teacher yesterday named Lauren, who's in like Southern Illinois area. And she was like, Rae, I haven't paid for anything in my classroom in like 4 years, because all these people are a part of our learning experience. They just like give me the stuff I need or give me the funds to get it. And I'm like, that's how it should be. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's I'm on the board for a nonprofit called Villager that helps get art supplies to Title I elementary schools. And one of our things we constantly bring up is like, teaching is a full-time job. Yet how many people do you see teachers on social media saying, I want to do this awesome project. Can you donate $10, please? We got to buy supplies. And then nobody donates. The teacher has to pull it out of their own pocket. And it's absolute mess. So when they get that support from the community, I think that really changes everything. And that seems to be a trend in education that I hope continues.
Absolutely. And we know that, a box of pens to a business owner might really not be that big of a deal. A box of pens to a teacher, my God, is like winning the lottery. I love that stuff. So, whether it's actual donating goods, which, don't get me wrong, it's amazing, or just people, normal community members donating time to make a 15-second TikTok-esque video shouting out students being successful, or getting a little video of what their job's like and how it applies to their role. That's how we bring education full circle. That's how we see our students enriching the community and our community enriching our schools. And I love that stuff. So anytime anyone wants to talk about that, let me know. Even at teachersdeserveit.com, we have so many like warning labels and like tools where like, if you're a teacher, don't pay for this. If you're a teacher, let us help you get the money for what you're going to get in our learning hub or whatever. I'm like, if I see a teacher use their own personal credit card, I'm coming after you.
Love the term thinkering, and we'll definitely use it in my classroom. The kids will love it.
This is where we can be that peer support network with each other. When the big picture clicks, it's beautiful when you get administrators and teachers together.
You can't be a leader of other people if you can't first lead yourself, right?
Help the educator have a very clear and structured framework.
Becomes this real community hub. If you're a great educator, you're looking for the most powerful moment. Can we inspire kids to believe that the world needs who they were made to be?
I hope you guys continue to uphold that legacy and continue, finding kids like you.